Very good morning again. So thank you for joining this session. Today we're going to talk about Sangfor HCI being the modern alternative for VMware kind of a solution, right? In the contents, we're going to talk about what Sangfor is, why customers should work with us, and introduction about Sangfor HCI and why Sangfor HCI is an ideal alternative option. A comparative study as well as a way to migrate from VMware kind of an infrastructure, and also a quick introduction to Sangfor VDI as well, right? So to start with, I'll give a quick brief about Sangfor for those all who are new here, right? So Sangfor was founded in the year, 2000 by our founder, Mr. River, and co-founder, Mr. Wilson. And this is, of course, our 25th anniversary. And as we speak, we have more than, 8,000 employees spread across the globe, where we have 70 plus international branch and representative offices. The Gulf region, so we come under the ARMEA region, where we take care of the UAE, Oman, and Egypt, where we have local presence. Apart from that, the other regions like the Africa, the Bahrain, Kuwait, Qatar, everything being handled by UAE as our regional headquarters. Right, so we have an office here in UAE, we have an office in Oman, we have an office in Egypt as well, where we have local team presence. In UAE, our office is in Dubai Production City, being the headquarters for this region, where we also have certain support centers and our SOC centers as well. So you in this region, UAE being one of the prominent support center, and pretty soon we'll have another country as well in this region being another support center as well. Adding on to that, in UAE we have our data center, where we are also hosting local MDR services, which is in-country MDR services in UAE as well. So it's up and running for the customers in this region, right? And we do have other data centers and SOC centers, as you see in this map, right? On a high level, why would customer work with us? Of course, established reputation. Of course, right now it's 25 years of well-established reputation. It's a listed company in China. Sangfor is pretty much listed in stock exchange, right? It's in China, Shenzhen. And of course, we are able to provide equivalent and comparative solutions to the popular solutions in the market. This is very important because customers are directly asking for a product alternative, right? So let's say a VMware, maybe vCenter alternative, ESXi alternative. Do you have like that solution? So definitely we are able to provide a comparative offering, so it's easier to offer and make the customer understand. We are still able to provide both perpetual and subscription licenses, right? Of course, we do have certain dedicated account management in certain regions to support, as well as we have a very good supportive partner system like you guys, right? So in the HCI especially, we have more than 150 certified engineers across this region who can support the customers as well, right? So that's why and more getting added on, and we keep doing a frequent certification training as well. So if you are interested in one of these, you can definitely reach out to me and my team. So we will help you out to get yourself as a partner certified, right? As a customer, you by default, when you enroll to Sangfor HCI, you are entitled for certification. We'll put you through the certification process as well. Whenever we have our certification schedule, we'll invite you as well. So you can let us know your interest as a customer as well. We can do that, right? So then as a Sangfor group, right? So we have a couple of solutions, right? So Sangfor security being one of them, right? In security, we have solutions like the firewall, the internet access gateway, our EDR, XDR, NDR, and MDR solutions that we have in Sangfor security. Then the Sangfor Cloud and infrastructure we combine together, right? So when we talk about Sangfor Cloud and infrastructure, in the infrastructure, we talk about hypervisor, HCI solution, our storage solution, our VDI solution, and in the Sangfor Cloud, we're talking about the private cloud infrastructure, which can provide infrastructure as a service kind of solution, right? And then at last, we do have our portfolio from Sunray. It's a cutting edge enterprise Wi-Fi, IoT, networking solutions, right? So for the entire stack of network switches and then Wi-Fi solutions, we are able to provide from the Sunray portfolio. So now today's session is more about Sangfor hypervisor and HCI. So let's focus more from that perspective. I'll run a small video which will introduce you the HCI in brief, and then we'll go a little bit in deep about this solution, right?
As businesses embrace digital transformation, the demands on data centers are growing rapidly. Traditional IT infrastructure, with its siloed and complex architecture, is struggling to keep up. In response, IDC predicts that 80% of enterprises will have adopted hyperconverged infrastructure, HCI, by 2025, driven by the need for better performance, reliability, scalability, and cost efficiency. And by 2028, private/dedicated cloud infrastructure spending will reach $56.1 billion, growing at a 12.9% compound annual growth rate, CAGR, from 2023 to 2028. At the core of digital transformation, where innovation meets efficiency, Sangfor stands at the forefront, shaping the future of IT infrastructure. Welcome to the era of Sangfor's full-stack private cloud. Today, businesses yearn for agility, performance, and reliability on a unified platform. Sangfor HCI is not just about hyperconvergence. It's the blueprint of our Sangfor's full-stack private cloud, the next-gen infrastructure designed for the modern data center. Building and managing a cloud infrastructure is not easy. Sangfor full-stack private cloud solution based on HCI helps you do it easily and quickly. Introducing Sangfor HCI, seamlessly integrating compute, storage, networking, and security into a single software-defined platform. It's the infrastructure that thinks, learns, and grows with you. By consolidating separate legacy systems into one efficient platform, it simplifies management, enhances capabilities, and reduces costs, making it the perfect data center modernization solution. Case studies show up to a 50% reduction in TCO. With Sangfor HCI-based private cloud, you get exceptional performance. The performance optimization of Sangfor HCI is systematic, covering compute, storage, and networking. Combined with technologies like intelligent high-load VM scheduling, SPDK Turbo, SRIOV, and RDMA, it delivers up to 1 million IOPS with just 3 nodes and hybrid configuration, out-rivaling competitors and ensuring your critical applications run smoothly. Independent tests prove that we outperform many competitors in speed and efficiency. For instance, a major manufacturing company saw a 40% boost in application performance. Reliability is one of Sangfor HCI's standout benefits. Sangfor HCI provides the most comprehensive failure prevention and sub-health detection prediction mechanism in the industry. With built-in high availability 2.0, integrated backup, and continuous data protection, our customers report 99.99% uptime. An example highlighting the reliability of Sangfor HCI is live migration. The Oracle VM live migration on Sangfor HCI under 1000 concurrency realizes 0 service disruption and less than 3 seconds performance drop, while the open source virtualization platform suffers 190 seconds performance drop and significant service disruption. We also have you covered for unexpected disruptions with reliable disaster recovery options. Our solutions have been proven in real-world scenarios to ensure rapid recovery times. One leading hospital group using our solution experienced 0 downtime over several years of critical operations. Security is paramount in today's threat landscape. Sangfor is one of the few companies in the world provides both cloud computing and security solutions, thereby offering easy and seamless integration. Thanks to over 2 decades of expertise in security technology in the market with a solid global presence, Sangfor HCI incorporates cutting-edge security measures and integrates our advanced endpoint security solution for real-time protection. Combined with smart microsegmentation and auto backup features, it offers comprehensive anti-ransomware protection. One financial institution cut security incidents by 70% after implementing our security solutions with the platform. Managing your infrastructure should be easy, and Sangfor HCI is designed with usability in mind. With the Sangfor Cloud Platform, you manage your entire infrastructure, even multiple data center, through a single, intuitive dashboard. Visualization simplifies cloud infrastructure management and configuration. The innovative "what you draw is what you get" feature redefines network topology management on HCI, making the network visualized at your fingertip. Moreover, our cloud-based AI-driven operations and maintenance tool, SkyOps, further reduces manual operations and minimizes errors, providing a wide range of value-added services, including 24/7 resource monitoring and alerting, performance prediction, application health perception, and automated response, enabling users to achieve more with less. One IT services company cut management overhead by 60%, freeing up resources for strategic initiatives. With these features and benefits, Sangfor HCI rivals the industry's leading solutions, offering a robust and cost-effective alternative without sacrificing functionality. The architectural design of Sangfor full-stack private cloud based on HCI enables customers to easily develop, deploy, run and manage their business applications with reliability, performance, and ease of management, thus improving their business efficiency, reducing O&M overhead and saving costs. It's ideal for businesses undergoing digital transformation, providing a secure and scalable private cloud solution that adapts to your evolving needs. Whether it's virtualization, a software-defined data center, or a full-stack private cloud, Sangfor HCI provides the building blocks for diverse scenarios. Our solutions are designed to adapt to your unique needs, not the other way around. It also integrates seamlessly with Sangfor Managed Cloud and Partners Cloud, creating a flexible, consistent, and optimized hybrid cloud environment to cater for various business use cases such as cloud backup, disaster recovery, and hybrid workload deployment. Sangfor HCI stands out as a market leader in excellence and innovation. We hold one of the largest market shares in the Asia-Pacific region and earned recognition in the Gartner Magic Quadrant and Market Guide for Full-Stack HCI as a representative vendor. Over 10,000 customers worldwide trust Sangfor HCI as the cornerstone of their cloud and digital transformation journeys. Join top enterprises, financial institutions, healthcare providers, and government agencies that rely on us for their critical infrastructure needs. Ready to transform your IT infrastructure? Visit www.sangfor.com to learn more and take the next step towards a more efficient, secure, and scalable future. As business,
So that was the overall, introduction to the Sangfor HCI. So let's talk a little bit about the software architecture. We split this software architecture between two tiers. The tier one virtualization being the components in tier one. The first component that you see there is ASV, right? So ASV is the hypervisor platform. As a bare metal, it can be installed on any bare metal servers, like it could be Dell, HP, Fujitsu, Supermicro, whatsoever it is, or Sangfor being or a single vendor who can provide customer the all-in-all support, right? So that means we can provide hardware, we can provide software, we can provide the HCI hypervisor, everything from one single vendor. And the ASV hypervisor has multiple functionalities where it has high availability, it has DRS, it has hot add-on capability, it has overcommitment capability. We can live migrate between one node to the other node, similar function that you see in VMware. They call it as vMotion, right? So we have similar to vMotion, storage vMotion, and all the other stuff with our hypervisor. Pretty much it can be an alternative for VMware ESXi kind of an hypervisor. The customers are looking for an alternative. We can definitely meet those requirements, and we can connect it to an external storage, making it still a 3-tier infrastructure, right? So that's the first component about our ASV. Then the next one is the ASAN that you see there is called as a storage virtualization piece of it. So by having storage virtualization, so we can really utilize the local hard disks of all the servers together, and we combine those hard disks together into a virtual form factor and creating something called as a virtual data store, right? So by utilizing the local hard disks, it could be full SSD, it could be full NVMe, or it could be hybrid, whatsoever it is. We are able to create something called as a multi-copy mechanism, so that if one node goes down, the virtual machine will get its data from the other node automatically, right? So this multi-copy mechanism helps to achieve the high availability functionality, and thereby having ASN license will you will not require to use an external storage. Whereas by using the internal storage, you get better performance because of data locality. That means the virtual machine will always be served from the same server where it's hosting, right? So in a typical 3-tier, the virtual machine will utilize only the CPU and memory functions from the hypervisor, whereas the storage, storing the data, reading the data, everything comes from an external storage. Whereas in ASAN kind of a scenario, what happens is that your reading storage, writing storage will become from the same server where it's hosting the virtual machine. That's what is called as a data locality. So definitely you have much better performance because you don't have multiple hops, right? So that's about the ASAN, and it's also a licensed component, right? So again, ASV is licensed based on number of CPU sockets, regardless of the number of cores as of now, right? And then ASAN is also licensed based on number of CPU sockets itself, regardless of the storage devices, whatever you can put 1 TB, 10 TB, 100 TB, no problem. We only license based on number of CPU sockets. Then third one is ANET for functionalities of distributed firewalling, microsegmentation, VXLAN kind of a concept. We definitely use the license called as ANET. ANET is also licensed based on number of CPU sockets. And then security virtualization, which we call it as ASEC, is another unique offering to protect the virtual machines applications from any kind of attacks like malware attack, real-time virus attacks, or ransomware attacks, all this kind of attacks. It's kind of the EDR platform that is managed from the same dashboard of the hypervisor or the HCI. So the benefit here is that, and all these are add-on licenses. So by the way, if customer does not need ASEC and he's currently using is any other vendor's, EDR kind of platform, he can use that. No problem at all. But the benefit again, what Sangfor is bringing is one single vendor who can even support for hardware, software, the virtualization, the storage piece of it, the networking, even the security of the virtual machines, right? And it's managed from one single dashboard of HCI. That's the benefit customer is getting. Adding on to it is the included backup, right? So we have a free embedded backup software. Again, it's embedded with the HCI itself, right? So you cannot use that backup for any other platform. It's embedded for taking the backup of the virtual machines that's running inside Sangfor HCI. And it's free of cost. We have two types of backup. The free backup will give you an RP of up to 1 hour. That means you can take a backup of virtual machine like every hour, right? And then we have something called a CDP, which is continuous data protection. And we are the world's first vendor to have an integrated CDP functionality, right? So with the CDP, you can take a backup of virtual machine like every second, and it's licensed based on number of VMs that you want the CDP backup for. Right. And in the last component, the tier one is about our DR. It's a complete disaster recovery solution. That means it will replicate the virtual machines from site one to site two, and it will orchestrate the DR as well, right? So that means it's just not only a replication, but it has a complete orchestration where you can create certain recovery plan. That means a set of virtual machines should come off first along with another set of virtual machine. To give you an example, let's say an application server being the most critical application server in your premise or the customer premise. So that will have maybe one or two application server connected to one or two database servers, right? And that should come up first. So these kind of orchestration we can create and configure in this particular DR scenario, if you need to change the IP address, a lot of things that you can do from this orchestration, right? It is similar to the VMware SRM platform, if you're aware of it, right? So, and it is licensed based on number of VMs. It starts with a pack of 5, and then you can add on each VM, right? Like 5 VMs plus 1 plus 1 plus 1, like that. So if you have 7, 8 VMs, then it will be 5 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1, like that. That's how it is licensed, and all these are licensed in if it's subscription, then it's 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, or 5 years. If it's perpetual, then perpetual license with every year of support and support renewal. That's about the tier 1 virtualization. And in the tier 2, we are talking about the Sangfor cloud platform. Again, this is similar to a VMware vCenter kind of a platform, right? Or we can say that it's a management platform. If you have a single HCI cluster, you really don't require SCP. But if you have multiple clusters, or if you have multiple locations, region that needs to be managed from one single platform, then the SCP is free of cost. Then there is another licensed SCP. So if you are looking to create your own cloud services, or if you want to bring up the cloud service provider model, then we have the licensed SCP, which will give you multi-tenancy, which will give you a billing system and the operation center to create services like infrastructure as a service, backup as a service. So firewall as a service, security as a service, like that. And one more good thing is that since we have a very good security portfolio, we are able to bring a piece of security, multiple pieces of security inside Sangfor HCI as well. Let's say we have a firewall, right? So if customer, or if you like to have a firewall inside the HCI, we can do that, right? So we can import a virtual instance of a firewall and even manage the firewall from the same dashboard of HCI. So again, so it becomes like servers, it becomes like virtualization, storage, network, security plus firewall plus internet access gateway plus the NDR platforms managed from the same pane of glass of HCI. So that is another unique offering that we bring in. Of course, the security components are all licensed per instances. Let's say firewall, it has different instances, 100 Mbps, 200 Mbps, 400 Mbps, like that. Each instance is licensed based on the throughput that based on the requirement. So that's all about the software architecture. So just to give you a little bit brief about how do we consolidate a 3-tier. The first thing is that, of course, we can still support 3-tier just by installing our hypervisor. And then by introducing the HCI, we are entire HCI, we are able to reduce the number of components in a data center, right? So first thing is that we're going to ask certain questions like, what was the time spent on, right? So a traditional 3-tier data center, in many ways, to keep it running properly, it could become complex and tedious in terms of deployment, in terms of expansion, in terms of resource scheduling, upgrade, maintenance, troubleshooting, and management of release of new versions. These are the major, activities where the majority of the time of IT department's daily work, right? And then the second question is, what was the money invested in? With traditional data center, the provision of new services usually starts with planning, and then scaling of networking, then the hardware. Then of course, organization will also take into account for planning for like 3 to 5 years, because of which, the actual quantity of device purchase and the model is very much higher, or it should exceeds the business needs at that moment, right? Leading to a very much considerable amount of investment which might be required in advance, right? So then, of course, not to mention the data center technology, or the speed at which the technology is evolving, and the follow-up investment that comes with it. Then again, in a 3-tier infrastructure, the next question is, of course, is the current architectures scalable, right? So whenever new businesses needs to go online, or data center needs expansion, it definitely requires supplementary storage, massive data migration, and the IT department have to go, entire hardware planning, selecting process. Of course, not to mention the manpower it takes to set up and keep it running. So these are all the questions when we ask, we come into realization, how complex and difficult it is to manage a three-tier infrastructure. Whereas by having a HCI, all those headache is pretty much minimized, right? So you see here on the left hand side, most of the components of your data center reduced to a small form factor. Of course, by reducing it to a completely software driven approach, right? So you're moving into a complete software defined data center and reducing the components. Thereby, when you reduce the components of a data center, you reduce the requirement for power, cooling, AC, and things like that. Thereby, you could also contribute to the green energy revolution at the end of the day, right? And that's about the HCI. Now, we could be having certain questions about security. How do we secure the HCI and things like that? We have different layers of security that we can provide. Of course, since Sangfor also has a very strong security portfolio, we're able to embed and integrate a piece of security into the HCI as well. To start with, the last component that you see there, kernel security, right? So we have a built-in web application firewall to protect the hypervisor from any kind of attack. So making a hypervisor itself a very much hardened kernel module, right? Then following but encryption, the virtual machine can be encrypted. You can store the keys locally, or you can manage it with your key management services as well. So that can be possible. And then we have endpoint security. Like I mentioned, we have an integrated EDR, which we call it as ASEC, or we can also buy and use our standalone EPP, endpoint protection software, right? So that what it will do, if you have a standalone endpoint protection, then that can protect your virtual machines, virtual servers, as well as physical laptop, desktop, and all those things, right? Whereas the integrated EDR can protect only the virtual machines which is running inside the HCI. That's the difference. And the integrated EDR module is licensed based on CPU sockets regardless of the number of VMs, whereas the standalone endpoint protection is licensed based on the number of agents that you want to deploy it, right? Be it a laptop, desktop, server, whatsoever it is combined together. Then the next layer of security is the network security. We have distributed firewall, microsegmentation within the HCI, or if you'd like to have an complete firewall like a data center firewall, you can install the virtual firewall inside and manage that as well. And it works like a data center firewall with all the firewall functionalities. Then we can also provide correlated service with the NDR platform, which can correlate with multiple components and give you a complete network detection and response platform as well. And that's managed from the same dashboard again from the HCI for deploying these platforms, right? And then another question is, can this cloud infrastructure, of course, can support any kind of application? Definitely. These are some of the commonly used data center application like the databases, the containers, the SAP HANA, the big data, AI kind of module. Again, to address the question about AI, so we do support, NVIDIA graphics card on the servers, right? And we can virtualize those graphics card and provide to the virtual machines where the AI based applications can run very much, right? So that's how we are able to support, AI. So we call it as a GPU functionality that you see there. We support different NVIDIA. We support a model of AMD graphics card as well, and a couple of other models from NVIDIA like T4, L20 models that we support. So thereby to create a complete next generation of HCI infrastructure. This is kind of an all-in-one management dashboard, simplifying the management of the entire infrastructure into a single pane of glass. Of course, the dashboard, as you see here, provides a balanced view of resources, displaying the total number of VMs along with the count of powered on and powered off VMs. It also shows the total number of nodes, which is the physical servers in the cluster, and their statuses, whether it's online or offline. Additionally, our solution can also integrate with the VMware's vCenter, which is the management platform of VMware, just in case, and that's also reflected in the dashboard. And by that integration, it also shows how many VMs are there in vCenter. This integration can be used for migration as well, to take a backup of the VMs from vCenter to Sangfor platform and all of those things. This dashboard also shows a comprehensive view of total cluster CPU usage, memory usage, storage usage and their respective capacities. And below also you can find the IP addresses for each node. And then at the top, there are separate tabs for deeper configuration options for compute, where you build a virtual machine, manage your virtual machines and things like that. The networking, storage, node systems where you manage the login, alerting and upgrade and things like that. We also offer a one-click upgrade where if you're looking to upgrade the infrastructure, we can with one click, and it's a hot upgrade. So in the sense that your infrastructure will not restart. So it's a hot upgrade kind of mechanism. And overall, this page presents high-level overview of the complete virtual infrastructure, right? And also, when we talk about simplicity, we also sometimes need to understand that creating a virtual networking could be sometimes complex. So our solution brings simplicity to building a virtual network with the very much intuitive drag and drop functionality. You can easily drag and drop a VM and drop it onto the screen, and then choose the connectors option, right, to link a VM to the necessary components and save your configuration, right? So you can link it to a router, you can link into a virtual switch, and you can create different VLANs. You can create different port groups by just having a drag and drop functionality. Your entire virtual network is created. The same process applies to other components such as switches, even a virtual firewall or virtual internet access gateway, whatever you see on the left-hand side. So making it much more easier to configure, to troubleshoot, and to manage. And then moving on, of course, we can start the cluster with only 2 nodes, right? Of course, if you look into a traditional data center have several bottlenecks, right? So pre-investment 3 to 5 years in advance, so which will require significant, upfront investment. And then data migration for expansion. So expanding capacity often involves complex data migration processes. Then performance bottleneck, limited by hardware, limited by three-tier infrastructure, limited by architecture constraints, and all of those things. In contrast to these, our solution offers very much advantages, right? So we can start with just 2 nodes. You can begin with a minimum setup, and you can expand up to 64 nodes in one cluster. If you need more than 64 nodes, we can build another cluster and manage both the clusters from one single platform, right? And very seamless expansion, right? So you can expand your infrastructure without any downtime, right? Of course, there's no any capacity constraints. You can scale as needed without facing capacity constraints, right? So moving on to the next, multi-copy and built-in backup functionality, right? By default, our solution includes a multi-copy and built-in backup system that of course meets the requirement for a 2 copy or a 3 copy kind of a requirement, right? So the first copy will be on the node where your virtual machine is built, and the second copy will be across the nodes in multiple nodes in the cluster, so that if one node goes down, the virtual machine will get its data from the next available copy in the node, right? So if you require, we can also configure a backup of that virtual machine. So by default, there's multi-copy mechanism inside the HCI, right? So there's always a copy which is there, and then the built-in backup, you can take additionally another copy of that virtual machine as a backup that can be configured like every hour. So the built-in backup feature with RPO of 1 hour, and that can be backed up to a repository. A repository can still use local repository, or it's advisable to use an external repository, right? So which could support repositories which can support protocols like iSCSI, FC, or NFS kind of a repository. After a certain period of time, if you'd like to archive that to another repository, that is also supported from the integrated backup. So the next one is some critical infrastructure might require CDP, like I mentioned, continuous data protection, which will have an RPO of close to 0 seconds, where you need to take a backup of your virtual machines in less than 1 hour. So then CDP comes in place, where it's a licensed backup, right, for the continuous data protection. And we also have an intelligent scheduling technology, which is similar to the DRS functionality, right? It will observe the virtual machines performance of the underlying infrastructure. If the underlying infrastructure threshold of CPU memory is above the threshold, then automatically the virtual machines or the applications running in that host will be load balanced, or it will move to another node without any human intervention, so that the CPU and resources are uniformly shared across the nodes in the cluster. Call it as DRS. And with the DRS, we also introduced DRS 2.0 functionality, where it also has an AI-powered resource prediction mechanism, where it will analyze the load of the nodes as the physical servers or the virtual machine for the last 5 days, and accordingly it will predict the load for the next 1 hour, right? So if it feels that with the next 1 hour the underlying node does not have enough resources, then the virtual machine will be automatically migrated to another node where it has enough resources, so that just 1 hour before it requires the resources, it would have placed the virtual machines and its application accordingly, so that when the application requires certain performance, it will get it at that moment of time. So this is an AI powered engine that's running and monitoring in this. It's part of our DRS 2.0. All right, so we call it a smart scheduling engine. Then when we talk about, so we talked about infrastructure, we talked about backup, multi-copy. Now, when it comes to disaster recovery, yes, we have multiple types of disaster recovery. When we can talk about active passive disaster recovery between Sangfor Site 1 to Site 2, we call it as ADR. And it is licensed based on the number of virtual machine that you want to replicate from Site 1 to Site 2. And then the second one is stretch cluster. That means you can stretch from one side to the other to make it an active kind of a setup, where automated, a DR, right? If site one is down, automatically your VMs will be up and running. So definitely it requires certain kind of requirement, like needs to be connected with the 10 gig fibers between the sites to achieve active stretch cluster ASC. And then we also have HDR, the first one that you see there, heterogeneous DR. In case your primary site is VMware or Nutanix or any other virtualization platform, or even physical servers, and your DR site will be running Sangfor HCI. So we use HDR to take a DR of such environment to Sangfor platform. So we use HDR licenses for that. Then by default, we also have an integrated storage capacity prediction mechanism, where it's going to tell you that, okay, Mr. Customer, after 90 days, your estimated data store usage, available storage capacity will be 0, for example, right? Or around 75% or 50%. So this kind of prediction will help you to plan your storage expansion well in advance. And this prediction is based on your historical usage as well. It's going to know that, okay, based on last 3 months or 6 months or 90 days data, we know that in the next 90 days your storage will be filled with so much capacity. So this kind of storage capacity prediction is inbuilt, which will help the customer to plan for expansion well in advance. And then a little bit of comparative study. So this is what you get in a general comparison. So the functionality what Sangfor can bring in, like what you draw is what you get functionality, the NFV functionality, integrated CDP, and things like that. And especially when customer talk about a comparison with VMware, so straightforward question will be, I have ESXi, I have vCenter, do you have similar solution, right? So this slide is created to provide a smooth solution comparison with VMware when such requirements are there. Yes, we have products of comparison like with vCenter, ESX, Tanzu, vSAN, NSX, similar solutions from Sangfor. And then we also provide some of the additional solutions like the database management platform, which will help for deployment of databases, which will have for the deployment of primarily used to manage multiple databases. In a large environment where you have multiple databases like Oracle, Postgres, SQL, and all of those things you want to manage from one single platform. Yes, we can provide database management platform, as well as SkyOps is a 24/7 proactive monitoring solution that is also we are able to provide as a part of it, right? So that's just a quick comparison. And then, of course, when it comes to VMware, you all are aware you need to have a separate management platform called vCenter if you need to even manage a single cluster, right? Whereas in Sangfor, you don't need such separate management platform. We have our management plane and data plane integrated with our hypervisor itself. So it comes built in, no additional purchases required. In case you have multiple clusters, multiple locations, multiple region to be managed from one single platform, then we use SCP. SCP is deployed as a virtual appliance on premise, and you can attach multiple clusters and manage from one single platform. And of course, for that, SCP is free of cost. Then we have included default backup. You don't need to go for any third-party backup solution. That's another one. And for the DR, we actually provide a complete visualized disaster recovery monitoring, right? So it's very much easier for management to know what's the status of my replication of the virtual machine from site one to site two. It's a complete graphical based, disaster recovery monitoring solution that we have. Then certain question when it comes to a lot of customers when they're using VMware, how do we migrate? How do you take a backup of the VMware VMs in Sangfor? So we have an API integration with vCenter. So we take a backup of VMs from VMware as well, or we can use that integration for migration from VMware to Sangfor. And it also supports a bidirectional migration, right? So migration becomes very simple. You don't need any tool or third-party solutions to do migration. We can directly integrate with VMware. Except for VMware, any other solution, yes, we do have a solution which we call it as SCMT for that migration from any other. Especially for vCenter, you connect to a vCenter and that's how it looks. Right click, migrate to Sangfor HCI. It's going to show you how long it's going to take migration, right? So migration time and speed and the size of the virtual machine along with the speed. It's going to show that the average speed for migration is going to show that 30 Mbps, 100 Mbps, whatsoever it is, depending upon the underlying network, bandwidth that from source to destination. So this is how it is. From a source, you need to select a virtual machine, and destination, you need to map accordingly which data store it needs to be saved into, and click next, next, next. Migration is completed. And this is one of the key thing to understand when customers are using a VMware infrastructure, right? They could be using different types of infrastructure. The first one is the virtualization, which is a 3-tier infrastructure. Customer might be using let's say ESXi or a vCenter along with an external storage, right? Or the shared storage. This usually be a SAN storage. In that kind of scenario, we can propose Sangfor ASV only, which is the ASV, the hypervisor is the only component that will be required, where we can, migrate from ESXi to Sangfor ASV. Right, that's the first one. First one called as a virtualization alternative. Second one is hyper-converged resource pool, right? Or the HCI alternative. Customer is using ESXi along with vCenter and a vSAN. And if they're looking for an alternative solution, then we provide the entire suite of HCI from ASV, ASN, and ANET kind of a solution. If they need security, we can also provide an integrated security with ASEC. That's the second stack of solution. Then the third one is complete infrastructure cloud. If customer is using VCF, vCloud Foundation module along with private cloud, then we can propose ASV, ASN, ANET, and ASEC along with SCP, licensed SCP, which will provide functionalities of private cloud. Plus, if they're looking to run and manage Kubernetes, then we can provide Sangfor Kubernetes Engine, which is SKE platform. All right, so this is a 3 stacks of different types of customer or a different kind of infrastructure that you have, and we are able to migrate different types of infrastructure accordingly, right? First one, again, only as a virtualization, only ASV will required. Second one, HCI, that means ASV, ASN, and ANET. The third one is a complete private cloud, ASV, ASN, ANET, as well as SCP. Plus, if they require Kubernetes, we can provide Sangfor Kubernetes Engine. Right, I hope it's clear. So then, of course, just to run, vSphere alternative, we just need ASV. We have all the functionalities like proactive HA, DRS 2.0. We can take template, cloning, snapshot, live migration, which called as the vMotion, storage vMotion, right? All those functionalities pretty much available. So it's pretty much easy to manage. If already customer is using VMware kind of a platform, they're already trained in VMware, right? So then they are aware of virtualization, virtual network, virtual storage. So our simplicity, one of our key value that we bring in is to, manage the platform very simple. A person who's already managed VMware is going to be pretty much easy to understand and manage the Sangfor HCI platform. Of course, we do definitely provide training and certification packages as well. So apart from VMware, if it's any other platform, let's say like Nutanix, Hyper-V, or any other kind of an hypervisor platform, or even be it a physical infrastructure, customers looking for an alternative for those as well, we use Sangfor Cloud Migration Tool. It's again an on-prem tool itself, where we deploy this tool on Sangfor HCI and use this tool to migrate from those platforms to Sangfor as well. So it's just a migration tool that we call about. At the end, whole in whole, what we are trying to say is that at the end of the day, Sangfor HCI is definitely commercially simplified because we just have one edition, which is called the Enterprise Edition. So one edition fits all. One edition makes everything simpler. And regardless of the number of cores, our license is CPU-based licensing. And definitely we are cost competitive. We do have certain battle cards with the other vendors as well. And, you can reach out to me. I can share you this battle cards. And at the end of the day, of course, why Sangfor? Better license transferability, no minimum requirements, core requirements, even one node or two node. If you just need hypervisor, if you have minimum number of cores, it doesn't matter. So we just license based on number of processors. If you have one processor, one license, you have two processor, two license, four processor, four license. As simple as that, right? And of course, license mixing flexibility and cluster expansion flexibility, all this capability that we are bringing in. So I hope you understand that. So at the last, I have kept a quick introduction to Sangfor VDI solution as well. It's a small video that will help you to understand, and then we'll wind up the session. If you have any questions, meanwhile, please put it in the chat window. I will try to answer each of them at the end of the session. Right. So let me play the video for our VDI solution as well.
Every day, many people are working via Sangfor A-Desk, and you will notice a lot of things. A-Desk consolidates personal desktops into data center. Users can access their Windows desktop via various devices. No more constraints by fixed PC. Business is getting more flexible. Desktop operation and management is getting easy. Sangfor A-Desk can greatly boost operation and management efficiency. The terminal quantity that one admin can manage is a couple of times more than traditional PC. Deployment can be done in one day. One web management console can do 90% of the operation, increasing troubleshooting efficiency by 8 times. One admin managing 1,000 terminals is just a piece of cake. Data and business security is effortlessly guaranteed. With A-Desk, all data is stored in data center. Merely images and operation instructions are transferred. User terminal no longer keeps any data. Business gets more secured as a result. Moreover, Sangfor A-Desk originally created personal disk encryption technology. Personal data is secured even from IT admin. Enjoy privacy on A-Desk. Meet the needs of BYOD and mobile office. Sangfor A-Desk allows people to access their desktop anytime, anywhere, with any device. Work will never be disrupted by change of location. Mobile office gets highly flexible and convenient. E-Desk radically simplifies desktop cloud. Traditional virtual desktop requires lots of components, but Sangfor A-Desk is very simple. We provide virtual management software VMP, Virtual Desktop Controller VDC, as well as Thin Client. Quickly build up one-stop virtual desktop solution. Say goodbye to complexity. Virtual desktop is very environmental friendly. It cuts terminal power cost by 70%.
Yet Sangfor has taken this to another level. Our thin client is based on ARM architecture, cutting energy consumption even more. The exclusive operation system is more stable, streamlining maintenance work to the minimum. Sangfor A-Desk can be found in many places. It helps you simplify desktop operation and maintenance with similar cost as traditional PC. It helps you unify desktop management. Centralized storage guarantees data security. It helps you flexibly start mobile office, enhance organization's overall efficiency. A-Desk truly makes the world a better place.
So that's it for today, and thank you so much everybody for attending. I hope it was a useful session. So if you have any queries, please do put in the chat window or the question window. I'll try to answer most of these things. Thank you once again.